Go, Hal.
What's happening, folks? I could not be more excited. We're live-ish, I think. Hopefully, who knows? It's impossible to say.
The video saying I'm on a boat 3 days ago.
Yeah, I am definitely on a boat currently. I don't know if you can hear me. Did you lose me right as we started? Is that what happened?
We can hear you now.
I can still hear you.
Excellent. Okay, good. I'm never going to be able to know. This is the Captain Jack Sparrow episode of HSRPM. And hi to everybody. Happy Impeachment Week. Johnny, have you been watching? Have you been?
I have not been watching it live at all. I've been watching some of the highlights.
Shame on Johnny.
Oh, well, no, it's good because
you're good at this thing.
You represent the everyman. You know what I mean in this situation because not everybody has that, right? Not everybody has the ability to be able to look at this entire spectacle as it is. I appreciate that George Kent dressed for the Nixon impeachment. That made me feel good with the bow tie and all that stuff. I think it was ironic though.
I saw the bow tie.
Yeah, George Kent and Bill Taylor testifying, kind of like sidecarring each other, almost trying, meant to be the same person. It seems they, like fused.
From 11 to 12 every day, Saturday. I don't know what time he's supposed to be here anymore.
I can hear you talking, by the way, Devin, just so you know, you're on mic. But anyways, hi.
Our mics are off.
Yeah.
You can hear us.
Oh yeah, I can hear you guys.
Hi, Devin.
Hi. So, and I think we're live on the internet as far as YouTube and whatnot. It's going to be super sketchy today. I apologize because we were literally at sea. We were supposed to be at dock today. I thought I had planned it. I thought I had plotted it all out as best I could, that we were going to be on an island, doing this Gilligan style, with rubbing coconuts together, and we'd be able to put the show together. And apparently not. Apparently we tried to dock this morning. I'll catch everybody up. We tried to dock this morning, and we were supposed to be able to go. Like everybody was going to go ashore. All the families, everybody, and apparently we attempted multiple times to dock, but this gigantic boat I'm on, which is I mean, if there's going to be a zombie apocalypse, this is the one to be on. Because it holds 6,000 people. Sure. It's 16 stories high, and even it is not free at its gigantic titanicness, free from the effects of climate change, because that's exactly what's going on. And nobody on this boat who's here as a guest is going to feel that way about it. None of them are going to do this, none of them are going to feel that, oh, well, it would, we should really start to care about climate change because we would have had a much better vacation if the sea levels hadn't risen so much that the water was coming over the dock while this gigantic boat tried to wash up on Gilligan's Island. So anyways, enough about my 3-hour tour. We, this week, fascinating stuff, to say the very least, about the, during the impeachment hearings. I watched them completely. Even though I had shows at night,
wow.
I got up East Coast time early and watched watched them all the way through, and then collapsed for an hour and then went and did 3 shows because I love you guys, and that's all there is to that. Wow. And chat room, I will see you in a second. I think it may be a little bit slower today than normal, but I don't know. And either way, you're awesome and hello. Beg your pardon, and I apologize for my cough because I have scurvy. So
and the cough sounds like a sneeze to me, so I'm going to keep
saying bless. Don't judge my coughs. I'm pitiful. Leave me alone. I get one chance.
What about rate them? Can I rate them?
Yes. Per cough. That's fine. You're allowed to do that. So,
okay. That
being said, we have steady internet as far as I see. It's steady bad, but it's not steady horrible. So fingers crossed, we'll stay that way. During the lead up to this, I think everyone was mainly focused on Bill Taylor being the standout. this was the big deal. Bill Taylor was going to testify, and he's the guy who was going to quit over all this stuff. Bill Taylor is the guy who, in the text messages, said Russia loves it and I quit. That was his, his big response to this. And he was, he was. You could tell he was one of these guys.
Not good at all.
No, you could tell he was one of these guys that was like, look, I do my job, but in the middle of doing my job, if there reaches a point where I can no longer go past this, I'm going to let you know, and that's that, right? And he clearly did. And it's in those text messages. He called the denial of aid in exchange for help with a political campaign. He called that crazy. He reiterated that and read it out loud. He definitely...
Is he the guy who said that we should all get on the phone right now?
No, he's the guy who said he's the guy who was told to get off the phone. Sondland who you're thinking about. He's next Wednesday. He's the guy with no chin who looks like a beige version of the pedophile monster guy from Sin City a little bit, and he's a very strange fellow. But he gave $1 million to Donald Trump in exchange for being the ambassador to the EU. And on a side note, yesterday after Yovanovitch gave her testimony, they went and had a closed door deposition with with Taylor's assistant, one of his aides, who took notes and was sitting with Sondland when he took the phone call with Donald Trump, where all this other stuff played out. We'll get to that. But the fascinating part was Sondland was sitting there talking with these guys about marketing plans for his hotel chain. This is why, that's the best. If he doesn't go to jail, if Sondland doesn't go to jail, and he probably won't, because he'll probably start to give up Trump fairly early, because he's looking at the financial benefit. That's why he did it in the first place. I don't see him as a sort of a pro-Trump guy. He talks ill of him in the exchanges most of the time. He's just getting deliverables for the boss so that he can get what he needs from the guy later. He basically looks at this as $1 million invested in some scumbag, and it will pay off in multi-millions later on in my hotel chain in Europe. And he's discussing this with this aide who's taking notes, who was deposed yesterday, Holmes. And I've got sections of his opening statement that I'm going to read from. There are elements of this that are mind-blowing, and in some cases involve Tonight Show hosts. That's all I'm going to say. So, hi, Hal Vickery. Thank you for the super chat. I can't see comments right now in the thing, but that's the first thing I've seen. I'm glad you guys are there. That makes me feel a lot better. Hello. Beg your pardon. I'm so sorry. That's super.
Fox News wasn't impressed because there was no drama, no glamour.
Well, yeah, but that's like the argument against the Capone trial, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at some point, what kind? If they want pizzazz, have Trump testify. I guarantee.
Right.
Awesome ratings, clips for days, hundreds of viral videos just of him squeezing his chin into his neck. I'm telling you that it will be the show of the century. And there's a very strong chance that you could possibly get Trump to testify simply on the idea that it would be the most watched thing ever. I honestly think if because Nancy Pelosi clearly has his number. She's been dangling him on a string for weeks now. If she decided that she was going to, if Mr. President wants if the president wants the greatest ratings he could ever have in the entirety of his life, he could testify before Congress. There is no way he doesn't make history. That's all I'm saying. And it's true. I mean, that's just there's no one that could argue with that. That's just absurd. I mean, granted, it's famous, like, America's Funniest Home Videos, baseball to the crotch, videos.
Like Rod Blagojevich, famous.
Yeah. But I think he'd go for it. I think there's a very strong chance. Let's take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. The Lost at Sea episode. That's right, folks. I'm at sea. I'm on a cruise ship in the Caribbean near a place called Coco Cay. Coco Cay. I don't know how to pronounce it.
So
Coco
weird.
Cata. We were just in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I will tell you a little bit about that. It was very good. I'll tell you this. Don't worry. I'm excited and happy, excited and happy to be here. And it was fantastic. And we'll be back right after this. Oh, I hear music.
All right, you're good now.
Yeah.
Live, local, and progressive.
Hi, chat room. Sorry I can't see you. I'm going to try another route to be able to see your thing. And then I got to be able to play this and see if this shows up on screen. There you go. And add that guy. And then put it. I want picture in picture, though. There we go. That's what I want. I want it like that. I want it to be able to do that. And the picture-in-picture shaping. Why be boring? Let's make it round. Hilarious. So, I'm in my stateroom. Oh, la-di-da. It's a postage stamp. Some of you may have watched. After the show today, I will do a post-show, and I'll move the camera so you can see my... it's kind of like being an old boy at sea. It's the only way I can describe it. Did you see Old Boy? Did you ever see Old Boy? It's a Korean movie.
I don't know which.
It's about a dude who...
Oh no,
Yeah.
I never did.
He's like imprisoned in a hotel room for like a decade, and he doesn't know why, and then basically he just wakes up to the fact that like the door opens and you're like, you're free now. You've paid your debt. Whatever your sentence was is done, and they fed him nothing but the same dumplings over and over and over again. And he goes around the city eating dumplings everywhere, trying to find out where the hell those dumplings came from so he can beat up the person.
Oh, wow.
So he can beat up the person who serves him the dumplings and go, who was buying all these? Oh, wait. The chat room. I see it. Hold on. There we go. Ah, da, 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 da. Thank you, Billy. Yeah, da, da. It worked. Okay. I don't know why it came alive, but it did. It's probably just a horrible delay. So, looks like he's in a porthole. Yeah, well, I think that's appropriate, don't you, Act? So, okay. No, I don't want that. I want that. I'll take this out and put this here. Okay, so now I'm ready. Now I think I got... Oh, that's not good. I guess that. So, this... I got to tell you, the whole thing was just fascinating. There won't be any particular order to this because sounds like a Twilight Zone episode. How did you like Puerto Rico? I did. It was lovely. We only got to go ashore for an hour. The sticker, yay! Oh, Lisa, thank you. Yeah, I didn't see, the chat just started, so if I missed anything, I apologize. Thank you so much. How is Roger going to turn on Donald now? No. Right now, no. We'll talk about Roger Stone, too. He's going to look like...
Go Hal.
Thank you, Doris. Is always wonderful. I'm gonna start showing up on her show saying hi pretty soon. I think we got to make that happen. So, I think, like I said, most people were waiting for Bill Taylor to make his statement, and Bill Taylor's angle was he was the guy who was coordinating with Sondland and Volker to make this deliverable happen. Now, I would like to. Oh, did I get watery? What happened? I would like to restate.
No. That's me trying to pronounce deliverable.
Oh, I see. Don't choke to death. So the deliverable, by the way, is not an investigation. I am sick and tired of people saying this. I hear it over and over again. The investigations, quote unquote, were not the deliverable in the quid pro quo, in the bribery, in the extortion, because there was no investigation to be had. What they needed was another Comey moment. That's what they wanted. They wanted to get him to a microphone, get Zelensky to a microphone, make him say in front of a microphone, we are opening this dormant investigation that was illegally closed down because of corruption. We're going to look into the corruption of the Bidens, but mainly CrowdStrike. We will get Russia off the hook, and we will and the Trump campaign with it, I suppose, and protect Russia. Allow us to take this, allow Trump to take the sanctions off of Russia, because he would guarantee. Oh, thanks for subscribing, Jeff. Guarantee that if cough is sneaking up on me, that if the day Zelensky made this speech, Trump would be on television going, see, Russia didn't hack. The whole Russia thing was a hoax entirely. Not just what they talked about with me, but with Putin. I told you Putin was very strong about his denial. I told you the intelligence community was wrong. We need to lift the sanctions on Russia and let them do business. And you can guarantee that means breaking ground on Trump Tower, Moscow, the day he leaves office. Like, it's that, and there's no way that all of a sudden the Trump organization doesn't start getting flooded with loans again that they couldn't get before. Mar-a-Lago would get a brand new paint job. Doral would be profitable magically again. So the speech was the deliverable. Let's be abundantly clear. This was about PR. This is on a massive global scale. This is the same as him calling into Forbes pretending to be his own publicist. This is the John Barron moment of attacking the earth. So so the deliverable was the speech. That's why Taylor was really starting to freak out. He's like, wait a minute. The new president has to make a speech saying this. And Sondland was in the process with Giuliani and Zelensky of negotiating what would be in it. They were literally they were working through the details of what this would be. They were going to send over a draft version. They had a date set. Fareed Zakaria was actually going to be the person who interviewed Zelensky, and he was going to make this statement word for word. This was a hostage video. Trump was making Zelensky make a hostage video, and he had very, very specific wording he wanted him to use. And it was the same thing. He wanted the Comey hit on Clinton all over again, right? So we know this. Let's just establish that right out of the gate. So Taylor's the guy who says, I think it's crazy to trade military aid for help with a campaign. And Sondland says, woohoo, get off the phone. And then he called, and by the way, the president wants to make sure there's no quid pro quo. Because at that point, word had gotten around that there may have been such a thing. And they wanted to make sure that they were covered, and again, this defense is just idiotic. This is like robbing a bank, and then as you run out the door firing a machine gun in the air, go, thank you for letting us make a deposit, and then you think you're legally in the clear. Like, just because you say it's not a quid pro quo doesn't mean that the quid and the pro and the quo were there. So, and they're using the word bribery. I think that works, but I really think it was more extortion. This is a hostage video. He was forcing Zelensky to make a hostage video, and people were dying because of it, and Trump couldn't care less. So so Taylor's the main guy, though, right? George Kent was almost a side character in all this, except Kent was the guy kind of rattling cages, and it may have been his exchanges with Taylor behind the scenes that made Taylor start to get really nervous about just how illegal all this stuff was. Because when you listen to him talk, he wasn't pulling any punches. Taylor was direct, and neither one of them was overtly political in what they were saying. Neither one of them seemed to be, never trumping their way through the thing. Although you could tell Kent wasn't a fan, it's interesting that Kent comes across as a guy who's just disgusted by Trump. less the political intrigue part. He seems a realist, but you could kind of tell just from a demeanor that he's one of the people, like kind of like Tillerson and a couple other people who at one point realized they were taking orders from someone who was not just less qualified for the job than they were, but genuinely stupid. Like you could tell that Kent's one of those guys who looks at Trump and goes, it's like you work at a factory your whole life and you're vying for a management position, and it goes to the owner of the factory's son, and he's a complete drunkard, right? And he doesn't know how the factory runs, and he just yells at everybody on the floor to do what he wants. He's, giving his 2 cents on everything and doesn't know what he's doing. And people on the factory floor and in management that are trying to keep the company actually, rolling, hate the dude, but have to tiptoe around him. It just reeked of that, right? So, and I was sort of surprised by how kind of fierce he was a couple of times. Then we go to Yovanovitch. Now, Yovanovitch's testimony, and I'm sure you saw at least pieces of this, Johnny. Did you not?
I think so.
Yeah. So she was called home. Basically, think of her as, to use the bank robbery analogy, she kind of fits in a couple of places. She's the assistant manager of the bank who kind of runs the whole thing, while the manager of the bank and the president of the bank just do a lot of golfing. You know what I mean? So she's the manager who's in charge of die packs.
Yeah.
Okay? She's in charge of die packs, making sure the place doesn't get robbed. They've got a protocol for safety. Everybody does their fire drills, that kind of stuff. Like, that's basically her role in the bank. And the Trump rolls in as the new president of the bank. He's been put in charge of the bank by, the board of directors, who apparently make more money on insurance if the bank is robbed. And Trump's the new president of the bank, and he hires his buddy Giuliani as a security expert to fix all the alarms. And as they start working on the alarms, she notices that they're cutting more wires than they're plugging in, and they fire her. So they fire her as the manager and send her home, and then she's trying to get a job at another bank, and they're crap-talking her all over town so that she can't tell them, yeah, they're cutting wires on the windows and the back door and on the safety deposit box. They're doubling keys. I don't know what's going on. So they make her look like the bad guy. And then and that's why they smeared her. So these were the three, and effectively the system that Schiff is using is genius. And I have a theory about how he plans out the day, which I will wait until after the break to tell you. How's that for a tease? But I will say that when you okay, and when they're looking at the overall that's normal to a case, what they are doing is tightening the noose. What you effectively do is you don't bring in Sondland and then ask him, hey, did you say this on this phone call? And he says no, and then you bring in all the people who work under him or around him and make them either throw their boss under the bus, whether he will get busted or not, they don't know, and put their jobs and their careers in jeopardy, and also you don't know who's kind of been coordinating messaging with whom and whatnot. So what you do is you take the people who are in the peripherals, who have seen the effects of the thing, the person who heard the gunshots and saw the car squeal away. Then you get the driver, and the person who sold who you think is a suspect the gun. Then you get the ballistics guy. Then you get the guy who shot the person to sit down and go, hi, okay, so your friend says they heard a loud noise and you jumped in the car. This is the person who sold you the gun. The rifling on that gun matches the bullet. Are you going to tell us right now that you didn't shoot this person? That's how you do it. Like, you don't do it the inside out. You don't call Sondland and Trump first. You do it backwards. And that's exactly what they're doing. So this whole thing about third and fourth knowledge or whatever, these are not the people who are giving you evidence of Trump's crimes. These are the people who were affected by Trump's crimes. These are the people who, Yovanovitch was threatened and lost her job. She was the effect of the plan. She was part of the damage done. She's not a witness. She's a victim. But she's the victim who was shot in the back and managed to survive, to use that analogy again. She was locked in another room while the robbery went on, but she knows that between this time and this time, she could hear certain things through the door. She was not, able to leave the building, those kind of things. And so you satisfy those aspects before you move in on the people who did it. We got to take a break. We'll be back. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, live from the Allure of the Seas. That's the name of the boat. It is 6,000 people, 16 stories, 70 tons, something nonsense like this. I swear, I saw Leonardo DiCaprio on a door just a couple minutes ago. We'll be back.
No.
Oh. So, hi, chat room. Yay, it's starting to work. Cool. Brad wants to know, and Hal or group, do you think Trump will pardon Roger Stone? I think he will, but I think it might be out the door. I think. And your mic is live, Chicago.
So I can edit it really quick.
You can hear the guys. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about that, and not lose Johnny. So
sorry,
that's okay. So I don't think I think Trump will pardon Roger Stone, but I think he'll do it going out the door.
We're talking about lesser
yeah, Billy's saying if he pardons Stone too soon, Stone can be subpoenaed to testify, and if he refuses to go to jail for defying Congress, since he has been forgiven for his transgressions. Yeah, he could. Literally, he could be pardoned for what he did, get out, refuse to a subpoena, even though he doesn't work for the White House, and go right back to jail.
Best-selling brand in major retailers like Walmart.
Amos thinks Roger Stone will kill himself before he serves a day. I disagree. He won't do a ton of time. Thank you, Benny Loco. He won't do whatever time he gets. It won't be. He's not going to do Manafort time. He's not going to do a decade. Year. And if he does, he'll write a book about it. And he knows he's got. I mean, the guy's got a Nixon tattoo. He's not going down easy. Yeah, so. Yeah, I'm on a ship in the Caribbean. Yeah, 70. Is it 70,000 tons? Yeah, that's. I don't know. This is just ridiculous. 70 tons can't float. Hal, get off the boat. Getfizz, she was dismissed in May. She has nothing to do with any of this. That's why she has a lot to do with this, Getfizz. She was dismissed in May when the money was okayed by the DOD to be released, and they weren't going to give it to them. Again, if they just wanted to release her and they didn't, they had, no reason, but, she lost, thank you, just lost confidence in her, then by God, they could have just let her go and that had been that. They could have moved her home. Getfizz. No kidding. Okay, so that's a troll. All right, good to know. Carl, Julie, I might need your help. I can't troll watch on my end, so be aware. Thanks, Thomas. Wow, Thomas Cruise subscribed, and I'm on a cruise. That's so weird. I'm good, Kimberly. Hi. Roger Stone is Trump's Goering? I don't know. I think Stephen Miller is his Goering and his Goebbels, which is really weird.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, mega worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
Get go. Call. Hey, so welcome back. So the main three that we saw this week, Yovanovitch, she was basically a problem for them because she would not have gone along with the plan. She had too many concerns about the actual needs of the Ukrainian people, and anybody who actually gave a crap about Ukraine was slowly being broomed by the administration. As best they could, they were clearing people out, and because on a couple of fronts, we find out the obvious overarching one was this scam that Trump wanted, his deliverable speech that he desperately needed, so he could get himself a leg up in the election. And then you had the Giuliani, Lev, and Igor group, which were partially given what what Lev referred to at the Hanukkah party last year at the White House, which is a thing that they all went to, including Giuliani, who's Catholic but was wearing a yarmulke at the thing. It's very sweet. I mean, good. That's appropriate. But I thought it was funny in that picture. I always wondered why that one picture with the three of them, why Giuliani seemed to be wearing a yarmulke. It was because it was from the Hanukkah party. We find out that they had dinner at the Hanukkah party with Trump, Lev, Igor, and Rudy, the people he barely knows, and the guy who, I don't really talk to him, but I talked to him yesterday, Rudy Giuliani. They apparently were at this party, and they were given a secret mission. And Lev is now saying that he was given a mission by the president to go after this stuff. So this plan hatched last year, and they send. And by the way, the Biden stuff is an after. Sorry, Biden stuff is an afterthought. Thank you, Benny Loco. The Biden stuff happened during the election, as the primaries started to gear up or whatever. But this plan about CrowdStrike and the Ukrainian conspiracy that they believe, that they want to sell. I don't know that they believe it. I think Trump may believe it because somebody keeps whispering it in his ear. But it's ridiculous. But ultimately, the plan was hatched to seed doubts in Russian interference in the 2016 election. Like I said, the Biden thing was secondary. The investigations, the primary one that he was talking about, the primary one that he was talking about was the CrowdStrike Ukrainian idea, that it was actually the Ukrainians that hacked the DNC and all that nonsense. So that's what they were effectively planning. That was all launched last year. But it can be a little confusing insofar as the timeline of this. But essentially all you need to know is the Congress released funds last year. Thank you, Evelyn, for hosting me. The Congress released these funds to go to Ukraine, which they've been doing every year, and they added to them this year. There was more added by Congress. And Trump was against it, for the record. Trump has been against our military aid, but he doesn't have the ability to not do it. It is a veto-proof majority kind of bill, and it's part of the defense appropriation stuff. It's part of the national security budget. He can't shut it down. He legally cannot.
Well, sounds like a big bummer to me.
Sounds like a what?
A big bummer.
Well, yeah. From his point of view, from his point of view, there's just no way around this. It has to go out the door. But there's limitations on how, who stopped it before. Well, Biden stopped it before, but it wasn't his call directly. The EU, the United States, our entire government, and the World Bank were worried because there were sock puppets. When this came up, during the video that Trump keeps talking about Biden, quote, bragging that he withheld $1 billion from them, there was this is when Yanukovych was the president. Yanukovych was a Russian sock puppet. He was driven out of office. He was responsible directly.
It sounds so much cuter than it really is.
Yeah, well, he also is responsible for the murder of 95 protesters with the help of Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort, when he's working with
that's not
Yanukovych,
cute at all.
yeah, Paul Manafort, when he was working for Yanukovych, said allegedly, according to his daughters and stuff that came out during his trial, it was his idea to put agent provocateurs into the crowd during the revolutions that were coming up, and that they would basically that would give them an excuse to open fire. And 95 people died directly, and they gathered a bunch of people up, and eventually he was he was tried in absentia because he left the country. Yanukovych left the country. He was tried in absentia. He was found guilty of treason last year, I think it was. It wasn't until 2018 that he was effectively found guilty in court in absentia. He's living in Russia under a protective order from Vladimir Putin, with somewhere in the order of $38 billion he stole from the country. So that's who was in charge during the time that Biden said, if you don't get rid of, and it wasn't just this one prosecutor, it was a bunch of people, if you don't start pairing these people out, you're not getting the aid. And Lutsenko, the prosecutor that Giuliani keeps waving his affidavit around from and saying, this guy's the real deal, and he tells us all about the corruption of the Bidens and blah, blah, blah. That guy started an organization called Euromaidan. And Euromaidan is this kind of, it's basically the seed group of those protests that had the agent provocateurs in it. So essentially, after being ousted, he joined with a bunch of other folks saying, you know what, I'm on your side now. And then when stuff came up, when the protests started happening, this guy was the guy, Lutsenko was the guy who was connected through Manafort and Yanukovych that got all these people killed. So, this isn't just graft. This isn't just Yanukovych running off with $38 billion from a relatively economically small country and hiding in Russia under the protection of Vladimir Putin. This guy got people murdered in mass. So, and this is the guy that Giuliani wants us to take more seriously than our intelligence services. So, yeah. So that being said, all that stuff is, they're all aware of this. Yovanovitch, Taylor, all these guys, they're dealing with the aftermath of this. They're still pruning out the sock puppets, the Russian sock puppets from Ukraine. This has been going on. I mean, Ukraine was part of Russia as early, since like at 1993 they separated. We're talking, that's not a lot of time. It might seem so to the millennials among us, but that's not a huge, that's not time for a lot of minds to change. There were still people in there, just like, and it becomes sort of the tribal situations that occurred around the creation of Israel, or where the borders of Syria and what Kurdistan could possibly be, and those kind of things. Like, there are people inside borders in those situations who are for and against it. That just is going to occur, especially when it's this young, right? So all this stuff is still a fresh wound. So the important thing is, and I appreciate that, Thorsman, for letting me know. The important thing is that these guys, the three amigos, which are Sondland, Volker, and Perry, I guess. Is that the three amigos? And then the three stooges, which is Giuliani, Fruman, and like Igor and Lev. Rudy, Igor, and Lev are the three stooges, right? Between those two groups, they were effectively trying to reboot the corruption in Ukraine. That's what was going on. Over the last 2 years, Giuliani, Lev, and Igor, along with Sondland, Volker, and Rick Perry, were on basically the executive and the blue-collar level trying to reboot the corruption that had been going on in Ukraine for decades, because there's tons of money to be made there. And if it cleans up, it's way harder to do. But you do Russia some favors, they let you have some contracts, they guarantee your rigs some safety in that part of the country, they don't get blown up. It's, you scratch my back and I won't spray poison in your face. And that, it's a sketchy part of the world. It's really gnarly. And we got to take a break. And I realized I wrote that break without telling you my other theory about how Schiff is arranging the hearings. And I don't want to give away, I feel like I'm right about this, and I feel bad sometimes that I'm giving away strategy, because I did this with Nancy Pelosi and everybody was like, no, and then it turned out to be true, because I'm right a lot, whether you like it or not. But we'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, live from the allure of the seas. I can't believe we actually have a signal. It's incredible. And
You're good, Hal.
thank you. I figured out how to mute my mic so I don't blast you guys when
I did hear it get cut off right at the top of one. That was pretty awesome.
I tried. Well, I was searching for it. So let's see.
It was like a kill switch.
I agree. Yeah, we got 200 people watching in the chat room. Hi, guys. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Join us. I appreciate it more than you even know. Look at that. Look at that, Karen. Thank you for becoming a patron. That's amazing. Look at you. Thanks so much. We're trying to reach our big 500 number of patrons. I recognize it's hard for me to get the big Patreon support that white supremacy groups and stuff have gotten over the years, but I'm trying to steal a little bit away back to humanity. Just come on, we can support this. Thank you. Oh, Benny Loco, thank you. If I miss some of those, I apologize. It's a little spotty as far as my own ability to see this, but how? Oh yeah, that's right. I've got to change my Twitch thing. I will do that. Thank you for the heads up. I worry though that whenever I load up, say what? 60 seconds?
Your Twitch thing?
Hold on. My Twitch page. When you
now you have 60 seconds.
Okay.
Over and over to be not okay.
It should.
You can reduce those nighttime bathroom trips with the ingredients.
I'm gonna drop my video to crapola. I just know it.
Better bladder empty. It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one. You can try a full 30-day bottle of P3
There we go.
Advanced. Free.
Try a 30-day bottle of something or other.
30-day supply. Absolutely free.
I don't know what it is. I can't hear the product, but I know I get a 30-day supply. That's what I do.
Yeah, but we're getting 30 days of it, you and me.
Whatever it is, we're getting a whole month.
Whatever it is, I'm on board.
It's for my what? That sounds frightening.
It's for our prostate.
10
Thank you,
seconds.
Devin.
I see.
I'm sorry.
Call 1-800-394-5859.
There we go.
1-800-394-5859.
Okay.
Now let's get back with Parks radio program, Mega
Cool.
Worldwide.
Go.
Excellent. Welcome back to the show. So I am live both on YouTube on the station, and I am also at sea currently. I am on the water right now. I can look out the porthole. Right now I have a big one, which is nice. I don't have one of those little McHale's Navy holes in the wall like sometimes you get as a performer on a ship. But it's a decent view. But I'm 8 feet from the water surface where my room is. It's amazing. I look up to see the lifeboats. That's never really a good sign. I'm just saying.
So when you do a cruise ship thing like this, is it like financially, is it like a big windfall because of all the weird conditions?
No. As a matter of fact, I'm only doing this one because I had a friend who fell out. Basically, he was supposed to do it, and he couldn't, and he would lose the contract if he just ditched. So he asked if I would fill in for him and pick up the slack. So I'm doing this as a favor. So no, it actually, and ships are expensive. Like the internet alone is going to probably eat up a third of what I would get for work here. Like it's silly. But you know, but hey, I look at the bright side. I caught a tropical disease. That, you know, so there's
got new antibodies you never would have known about.
Right? Yeah, I'm going to be immune to an even newer bug. So, okay, right away. Here's my Schiff theory, and I stand by this, and I hope I'm not giving away the game, but this is my theory. The theory is that he's using the House rules, which are totally appropriate, to do the 45 minutes of the committee head and their counsel. Each side gets that, right? And then they open it up for members' questions. Everybody gets their 5 minutes. They can share those as much as they want. So if you ever see any of the Republicans BSing you about, they're not allowing us to talk, blah, 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 they get exactly the same amount of time as the other side does. And, you know, Nunez can give, of the 45 minutes, he can give 44 and a half to himself and 30 seconds to to his counsel, which might be a good idea because the guy's not very good. Or he can, you know, just introduce the guy and let the attorney talk. Did
you see the video of Devin Nunes with the Snapchat filter on him that made him dressed as a cow?
No, but I think that's glorious, and I support it 100%, and I hope everybody follow Devin Nunes' colon on Twitter. I'm not saying it's me, but I'm not saying it's not. Colon Nunez is the Twitter.
Oh my word.
So, yeah, I don't use it a lot, but when I do, it's fun. So here's my theory. So the 45 minutes they each get at the top of the hearing. The obviously home team gets advantage because they're the majority. So majority gets the advantage. So he talks for a bit, gives it to counsel. Then they take a break. They know because they've already interviewed these people what points they want to hit, and they want to make sure get into the record. And they want to walk people through certain elements of it, certain pieces of news, so that when, just like in a prosecution versus the defense gets to go second because they get to answer stuff, which gives them a little bit of an advantage in that regard. But the prosecution also gets to plant seeds in the minds of the jury, because it's, you know, that's the first idea that is introduced to them. So in a court of law, it balances out that way, and it's not that dissimilar in this situation, except that the Republicans have no defense, and so they're basically just attacking process. But so Schiff gives 45 minutes for him and the main attorney. Then they take a break, and the funny thing is, if the Republicans didn't try the delay tactics they do, and he's keeping a pretty tight ship on it, if they didn't try to drag it out a little bit, they might actually be able to get a few of their talking points into the pre-lunch edit cycle of the news. So what happens is Schiff and the attorney interview the witness, talk back and forth, walk them through the evidence, like you would do if you were prosecuting a case. Introduce stuff, ask them questions. If they go someplace you're not expecting, you follow it, you know, in your 45 minutes. Then they take a break. During that break, the news breaks away, reacting to, you know, the heavy stuff that landed during an impeachment hearing. You know, this stuff has just been introduced in a verbal way. These are the first time they've seen some of this stuff in a transcript before, but now they're actually seeing it spoken aloud by the people who said it. So now news organizations have video of this person going, yes, I thought it was crazy. Stuff like that. They start chopping it up for the evening news. And there's great stuff. They know that there's plenty of stuff to run with. By the time the Republicans get back out there, if they had an equal case against, as much news would be made in the second part as it was in the first. But they do not. So what they make, they attempt to go, make viral clips for Fox and Friends and Hannity of them going, I'm not being allowed to speak. Like, that's their whole plan. Because once they start talking to these people, they don't want the answers to their questions. So they spend a lot of time being overtly nice to them. So they, except for when they're claiming sexism because Schiff won't let one of the female members of the GOP side talk out of turn against the rules, but one of the Republicans can yell at Yovanovitch, I'm talking now, you're done. That's fine. That's not, an example of somebody shutting down a woman. But yeah, so there you go. So the first 45 minutes, then they take a break. After that break, news organizations are basically running with this because they also know exactly what the Republicans are going to say. There are no surprises. They're not bringing out anything. They know from talking to the members, the Republicans, when you've got Brett Baer and all these folks saying stuff, that Yovanovitch was completely credible and this was gravely damaging to the Republicans.
Should I be worried about Brett Baer's hair?
No. It will survive us all. It is the cockroach of hair.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, but the point being is that by keeping the ship tight, Schiff is basically seeding the news cycle and taking it back from Trump, which is, by the way, what led him to commit another act of an impeachment level act by trying to intimidate and disparage the witness. When he was saying that everywhere she goes, things go horribly, which is basically going, how'd Somalia turn out because she was there? Like Somalia's her fault, which is
right.
You guys can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we lose you for a second? Sorry. So the amazing part for me is are you going to say that about our armed forces too? I don't know. Everywhere we send the military, stuff gets blown up.
30 seconds hell.
They're doing their job. So, point being, this is the strategy. This is the media strategy of the impeachment thing. Insofar as I believe, again, this is just me looking at the results and looking at how it's being handled or whatever. We're going to take a break. When we come back, after Gates
10.
and after Yovanovitch, the real news happened Friday in closed session. And we'll talk about that when we come back. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, and WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Right on.
You're good, Hal.
Thanks. Angie. They applauded and gave Maria a standing ovation after her testimony. Women should rule the effing world. Well, my goodness. So you don't think Schiff's doing a good job? Is that what you think? Women have ruled the world at different points in history. Go look up Olga of Kiev while we're all talking about Kiev. Hey, you get a really nice view of fairness and measured rule by a leader. Does Jim Jordan think he's more believable because he yells? Yes, and his exasperation is cathartic for the Fox News crowd. They want someone to get upset. We do too. I mean, if you look at when people are talking about left versus right, and by the way, it's Kyiv, not Kiev now. I disagree. I'm sticking with Kiev. I like it better. But because actually Olga of Kiev, that's how they pronounced it. Beyond that, and also I don't speak Ukrainian, so I'm saying it in my normal way. Unless if we're all going to start pronouncing the cities in the language from which they came properly, if we're all going to do that about every city, I'm in. I'm so in.
Never you mind. No.
You know?
No.
You're not going to do it?
No.
You're not going to
No.
You're not going to say 芝加哥 when you're around Chinese people about Chicago? You're not going to pronounce it that way? Why not?
Nope.
Nope.
Nihalalawa.
San Francisco, because then you would have to pronounce, by the way, all the Spanish-named cities on the west coast of the United States with a Castilian Spanish accent, not a Mexican Spanish accent, because it was Spaniards that conquered them, so they named them. So it's San Francisco and San Diego and Los Angeles. If you're going to do that, I'm cool. I love that idea. But, if not, yeah. Let's see. At least you correctly call it Ukraine and not the Ukraine. Yeah, Ukraine is a country. It was called, the whole idea of the Ukraine leaves the perception that it is a territory, not a country, and it's still owned by Russia. Russia referred to Ukraine as the Ukraine because, and like we would refer to the Rockies, right? Or the Tennessee Valley. They say Spain is pronounced España, and Italy is pronounced Italia. Exactly, right. Oh, poor Big Lou. I feel bad for him. Yes, smash that like and subscribe. Thank you. Hi, Can't Stop Lying. Hi, Julie. Hey, Carl. Hey, everybody. By the way, hi, Brad. Good to see you. Just want to roll back through and say hi to everybody. Everybody who's watching on Periscope as well. It's brightening up outside, but I know we're not going ashore now. It's 1 o'clock and they haven't announced. There is a chance, by the way. There's a slight chance that the captain might go, "Who's the captain speaking?" And we're going to give it a shot. We're going to try and bring this beast in and see if we can end up somewhere close to shore. So
that'd be amazing.
A few women in a male rule world does not make for equal. I didn't say it was equal. I was just comparing the actual ones that actually did versus the other actual ones that actually did.
I signed up, spent 3 years as an apprentice, then became a journeyman, and I never looked back. If this story sounds familiar to where you are right now,
the Love Boat. Not here. No. Mm-mm. This is a Royal Caribbean. This is a lot of old folks. More like the lotion.
How do they like your comedy?
Well, I did my F old people bit, and it went over quite well.
Oh, good.
Yes. I had a couple of people were like mildly offended, which was
back in '60.
The goal.
Sure. A little mild offense.
I don't know if to count out. Vallejo is already bugged. Vallejo. Oh, I see. I know a guy named Vallejo. He doesn't pronounce he pronounces it with a hard J.
Are sure it's not Valley Joe?
Valid. Yes, I'm certain.
Hey there, Valley Joe.
He's black and he's 6'3", 6'4", super tall.
And he's,
awesome.
And he's from the Valley.
Dude. Awesome dude. No, I did not Patreon that show, Teresa. I can't film in here at all. It's like the rules are very weird. I'm lucky I can even do this, or it's an open source and a distant joint. There we go. We're coming back.
Thank you.
Beg your pardon.
I don't care for you if the future slut you're prowling out.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Okay,
Go.
so the big news yesterday for me, anyways, was at one point. Okay, so during Bill Taylor's testimony, he said, "Actually, I just got wind of this. This happened between when I was deposed by you guys and today. One of my staffers came to me and was like, 'Hey, boss, I was sitting there and I overheard these cretins talking about exactly what you were saying. I was there. And it irritates me that they're saying everything is secondhand knowledge because I was there firsthand. I was sitting next to Sondland having wine at lunch while he talked to Trump on the phone, and Trump was talking so loud. See? I don't know why I made him that way, but I like it. That I would like to speak. So Taylor comes out and says, by the way, this staffer of mine overheard this. He said a couple of different things. Trump was was clearly more interested in what they said, quote, was big things. And when he was like, yeah, war with Russia is kind of a big thing. And he's like, no, big stuff that can help him with his campaign. Stuff's only big if it helps Trump. There you go. So,
Ding dang.
yeah. There's a chance Giuliani might be indicted today. That's breaking news. I doubt it. I would say Monday. I don't think they're going to do it over the weekend. But so this guy, Holmes, Michael is his name, I think. I'm blitzing on it for some reason right now because I made all these clips from this his statement. He did one of these things where he was talking to the he made an opening statement and they made that and they released that or whatever. So I isolated some of these lovely pieces for you guys because some of it's fascinating. One of the first things that stuck out to me was that they go on April 25th, Ivan Bakanov, who was Mr. Zelensky's childhood friend, and by the way, Holmes spells Zelensky's name with two Y's almost every time. So it's either a consistent typo or the way his thing translates, or he's got like a Ukrainian typewriter that doubles it up and it's one of those kind of character things or something. Or that's how you're supposed to see it. So Zelensky, yee. So he goes, childhood friend, campaign chair, and ultimately appointed head of the security services of Ukraine, indicated to me privately he'd been contacted by quote, someone named Giuliani, who said he was an advisor to the vice president. Now, that's news in and of itself. So Trump and the whole Trump muck-up of Giuliani working with him has been weird all along. And the fact that Giuliani's been sent over there to have this shadow State Department thing. But Giuliani's story on all this has changed so many times.
Mid-sentence.
Yeah, first of all, and by the way, as a reminder to everyone, anytime Giuliani says in print or on television or has repeated this phrase anywhere that he was working to defend his client, that he was working as a private attorney for Donald Trump, anytime he says that is him admitting that Trump is guilty in meddling in another country's affairs strictly to help his campaign. That's an admission of guilt. He's so dumb, he doesn't recognize that his story about him being asked by the State Department to mess around and stuff and work with things as a kind of, acting ambassador-ish kind of person would almost help protect him, right? But he hasn't done that. What he keeps saying is, I'm acting on the behalf of the individual Donald John Trump, presidential candidate, in defense of him. Everything I'm doing is for him, not the country, not national security, not the safety and survival of the Ukrainian people, but for Trump. So every time he says that is an admission of a crime, and is remarkably dumb. Secondly, we've heard him say that, that he's there for Trump, and also that the State Department sent him. That he held up his iPad and his phone and other stuff on the when he was on Fox and when he was on CNN. He's holding up his thing. They're all right here. They're all right here in my phone. Everything from the State Department. I haven't done anything except at the direction of the State Department. That's the other thing he says. Now, those are two totally contradictory messages. Totally contradictory. And the problem he has there, and why he keeps going back to I'm there to defend Donald Trump, is because if he's acting on behalf of the State Department, all of his communications fall under the Communications Act that protects state cables. He has to preserve all of his conversations for the record. Oops. And they don't even have to be subpoenaed. They could just be requested. So then he goes back to being a private defense attorney, right? And you can't be both.
Right.
Got to pick one. And unfortunately for Giuliani, he's not being paid by Trump to do this. So and you can always do the whole he paid me $1, so I'm his attorney forever. But that in mob cases that falls apart pretty quickly. They do that a lot. So okay, but the weird part about this is he says someone named Giuliani who said he was an advisor to the vice president, which is pretty damn specific, right? I reported Mr. Bakanoff's message to the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State George Kent, who I'm sure rolled his eyes straight back into his head, because Kent is like the ambassador to the state of annoyance. Now, later on, so Rick Perry has been floating around the outside of this stuff as well. And I'm looking forward to Holmes's actual testimony in front of the committee, because it will be very enlightening, because he's been in it. He was standing there next to Perry, next to Sondland, taking notes. He was in charge of taking notes. He was actually brushed out of a meeting that he talks about in these notes. He was basically told to go away because Sondland was having a secret meeting with one of these guys, and they didn't want any notes. So... the prof in our chat room says Zelensky is a comic, a lot of material there. Oh, wait. Comedy features fairly heavily in this statement, for the record. But in this one, the inauguration took place on May 20th. I took notes in the delegation's meeting with President Zelensky. During the meeting, Secretary Perry passed President Zelensky a list of, quote, people he trusts, from whom Zelensky could seek advice on energy sector reform, which is the topic of a subsequent meeting between Secretary Perry and key Ukrainian energy sector contacts, from which embassy personnel were excluded by Secretary Perry's staff. Now, we are finding out now that Perry is involved in basically securing contracts for his buddies in Ukraine, in the energy sector. This is standard run-of-the-mill, like, if there was any other president right now, and Rick Perry was found by any other president to have been doing this, the president that they served under would immediately fire them, and they would go straight to jail. But since this is the normal activities of the Trump White House, Perry's just like, yeah, this is just how stuff goes, We manipulate countries that are going to be destroyed by Russia. We give contracts to our buddies, and I forget the third thing. So then, this thing stuck out to me. Zelensky is waiting on this meeting with Trump, and he's not getting one. And in the process, though, Sondland throws a 4th of July party. Okay? An American 4th of July party in Brussels. Because that's where you throw it, right? And invited to it were Zelensky, Jared Kushner was there, Ulrich Rechbol, who must be Finnish, Belgian, or some, Federica Mogherini, who was fantastic in Inglourious Bastards, by the way, and comedian Jay Leno, among others.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. When is that testimony? Yeah, Bramford, you were there. Howard, Jay Leno factors into this. I mean, just when you thought this couldn't get any more sideshow, Jay Leno's chin makes an appearance in this. And I think it's largely because Zelensky's a comedian and probably a big fan of Jay Leno's. And by the way, if you've never seen Jay Leno's stand-up in person, I highly recommend it. It's not this kind of squeaky clean. It's not quite Bob Saget, but let's just say it's slightly more ascetic. Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much. It's slightly more ascetic than your normal Jay Leno monologue. Pardon?
He used to slay me when he was on Letterman.
Oh yeah, he's a good, like he's rock solid as he's a pro. I think there will be there's a coming Seinfeld day for Jay Leno. He's having too much fun, kind of operating under the radar or whatever. But you know how Seinfeld tours around and does stuff. Leno's touring will become a thing at one point, probably in the next 5 years. But it's amazing that he's in this. This whole impeachment trial involves Jay Leno. Okay, this is insane. All right, so let's take a break, and then more to come on this or whatever, because the Holmes's testimony, and then the OMB aide who was present and knows exactly why, when, and how the money was stopped and released, which is the really big deal. That person is testifying in closed session today. By the way, all of this involves military aid. So, of course, they're going to talk about it in closed session first, get what they can talk about and what they can't talk about in public straight, set very narrow lanes. Thank you, Ben Loco. Set very narrow lanes for discussing this stuff and talk about everybody else, so that they don't try to throw a monkey wrench into the whole system while they're just having normal sessions. So, anyways, we'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Houseworks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. There we go.
You're good, Hal.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you, Benny. How are you doing? Back in the old days, sets were great, and then he did late night, and that's like, well, it was just a version of what he was doing. It's a different conversation. You know what I mean? It's like saying, I don't know, my buddy, when he's around my grandparents, he's a totally different person, but he's hilarious and dirty when we're hanging out at a street corner. Like, well, yeah. I'm getting seasick. Oh, well, I hope I'm not leaning too much. My name dropping of Jay Leno was only a joke. I didn't know it was true. It was. That's insanity. This whole thing. I can't, am I not pronouncing it Zelensky? How am I pronouncing it?
Holmes.
That's
sounding like you're saying Holmes.
Oh, I'm mispronouncing Holmes. Holmes is pronounced Zelensky. Brad, that's genius. Giuliani is the child of the Joker and Donald Duck. There's definitely something to that. Shut up, idiot. Well, thank you, Benny Logo.
Back in 60.
Hal, remember Where's the Beef? Do I? That lady was lovely. My grandmother loved that. I that was one of the nicest things.
Yeah.
Jude, hope you're feeling better. My grandmother just thought that was a hoot. She just she'd watch those commercials and just laugh herself silly, and I was like, that's just lovely.
Yeah.
Ugh. Jay Leno is a hero of Zelensky. Well, they're trying to. That was part of the. Oh my God! What if Jay Leno finds out he was part of the quid pro quo? Quid pro Leno. It happened. I'm pretty certain Giuliani is Nosferatu. Thank you, Benny.
This is Ron Calgill.
And this is Robbie Earhart.
And you're listening to the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Go. Right. Yeah. So this ridiculousness of, you know, we've already established included Jay Leno in it. So at this point, all bets are off. Thank you, Amos. Thanks everybody for the super chats today. It takes me a moment. If I don't see them, I apologize. Like there's this delay in the chat room with the C and all this stuff. I'm just amazed we're on the air. Like this is incredible. Like we all need to hug Rob Glenn. That's all I'm saying. All right, so so this where is it? Oh, here we go. So this one was fascinating to me. So the OMB guy is testifying today, and they keep saying, like, I can't. They posted his name a couple times, but everywhere I see it on the news, it just says OMB employee being deposed this hour, and I think it's because nobody's quite sure how to describe what they do. He's from the Office of Management and Budget, which is what Mick Mulvaney runs, as well as being acting chief of staff. Okay, so he's doing both things. So basically, Trump has direct control and zero pushback from the Office of Management and Budget because his chief of staff and that person are one and the same, right? So he goes, Holmes says, I was present in the embassy conference room for the National Security Council secure video conference call July 18th. So this was video, not just audio. When an Office of Management and Budget staff member surprisingly announced the hold on Ukraine security assistance near the end of an almost 2-hour meeting. So they're meeting, they're talking about stuff, 2 whole hours. And then at the end of it, oh, by the way, we're putting all the money on hold, by the way, $400 million. The official said the order had come from the president and had been conveyed to OMB by Mr. Mulvaney with no further explanation. This began a week or so of efforts by various agencies to identify the rationale for the freeze, conduct a review of the assistance, and to reaffirm the unanimous view of the Ukraine policy community of its importance. Basically, everybody's scrambling, going, whoa, 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 whoa. Why all of a sudden are we denying them stuff? No reason. The president just doesn't want them to get it. Can we have a reason? So they're asking. People are dying. They need military aid. The Russians know they haven't gotten the money yet. That's the other thing, too. Is like Trump is having all these meetings with Vladimir Putin where they're not allowed to keep notes and all this stuff. And suddenly, military aid that would directly push back against the military actions of Russia doesn't show up and is delayed for a long time. For as long as is legally possible, Donald Trump puts his thumb on this money for as long as he can, knowing full well, maybe he doesn't understand, but everybody around him does, that illegally at some point that they have to get that money. Now Zelensky doesn't know this. Zelensky doesn't know that Trump has to let it go. All he knows is that it's not there. They've gotten it every year. His predecessors probably told him about it. The transition teams and the people who still work there go, yeah, the U.S. gives us this much, the EU gives us this much. You can count on this happening around this date, and da-da-da. And all of a sudden, it stops coming, even though it's in the news that the U.S. government has allocated more money. But suddenly it's not there, and there's no reason for it, for the money to be withheld. And the DOD okays it in May, says we're cool with them getting this stuff, and Trump just sits on this. Now the Republicans, fascinating, oddly enough, said that Zelensky did not know there was a hold on the money. Well, he damn sure knew it wasn't in his accounts. He didn't know Trump had put a hold on the money. He just knew it wasn't there. And I guarantee in his meetings with Sondland and other people, and Ron Johnson, the senator, had been over there a couple of times, who had signed off on this money, had been one of the people who'd voted for it. I guarantee they brought up, Don't worry about it. America's got your back. You're like, hey, what about the aid we're supposed to get? You haven't gotten it yet? No, we haven't gotten it yet. Well, I'll check on it for you. I mean, that's what's going on. This idea that somehow Zelensky may not have known that Donald Trump personally had put his thumb on the hose and stopped the flow of the money, but he damn sure knew it wasn't coming, and he was getting all these ifs and tasks and errands to do before he was going to get that money. The money was not coming until he was, and then here we got Sondland, Giuliani negotiating. Here's the speech you have to make. Money's not coming. I'm not saying where it is, but it's not in your accounts. But you need to do this. You need to find a microphone, and you need to say this stuff. Now, Trump and the rest of these idiots are racing against the clock because they know legally they're going to run out of a window of time when they can't hold the money back anymore. So they are literally extorting with money that's going to go through. And so the Republicans are now saying, well, they got the money anyways. That delay, first of all, it was not a guarantee as far as Zelensky was concerned that the money was actually going to arrive. They could have literally gotten a phone call from Trump going, you know what? I like Putin better than I like you. Bye. That's a completely reasonable fear to have if you're the new head of Ukraine. So, anyways, the fact that it was the official from the Office of Management and Budget said the order came from the president and had been conveyed to OMB by Mulvaney with no further explanation. They basically had the exact same thing as when they picked Mar-a-Lago to be the Doral to be the place for the G7 meeting. Now, this guy, the reason why he's being interviewed is because he had firsthand knowledge. He was sitting there. He went to lunch with Sondland. He heard the president talking about this firsthand because they were at an outdoor patio, part of a restaurant, having lunch when Sondland called the president, and the president, he goes, I could hear the president's voice through the earpiece of the phone. The president's voice was very loud and recognizable, and Ambassador Sondland held the phone away from his ear for a period of time, presumably because of the loud volume. Like, it's like a cartoon about calling your grandmother. Jesus, So, the volume was the standout part, which meant everybody in that restaurant heard it. Now, keep in mind, Sondland's the security of Sondland's phone is not something we've had established at all. Sondland is guarantee every mic on Sondland's phone is on all the time, whether Sondland knows it or not. The CIA would be dumb not to do it.
Right.
But I guarantee, if anybody's seen that video of Snowden dismantling the cell phones that he has in Russia and taking the 3 microphones out of them, understand those mics are just on all the time. So, after the call ended, Ambassador Sondland remarked that the president was in a bad mood. As Ambassador Sondland stated, was often the case early in the morning. So, apparently Trump wakes up grumpy, which is part of the good news of this whole story. That the fact that he's aggravated by all this is kind of pleasant. By the way, consider subscribing to the show, infotainmentwars.com, and of course, we are now a podcast on the Sexy Liberal Podcast Network. You can find us at sexyliberal.com or wherever you find your podcast as the Hal Sparks Radio Podcast, mega worldwide. I'm also doing another podcast called The Wonky Donk with Jackie Schechner. She and I get into the deep reads of the legal stuff and the loopholes in bills and how they come up, because we try to make the complicated understandable. That's our goal, and because I'm a big fan of complexity. So, and then, of course, infotainmentwars.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us out. Become a patron. Patreon.com/HalSparks. There I go. Okay, so, and thank you to everybody who joined today. The quote that probably stands out the most. Oh, we got to take a break. we come back, I'll talk about the quote that everybody's talking about. The one that without punctuation is nauseating. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
You're good.
Thank you. Rocky Mountain Mike says Sondland's phone call conversations can all be found on SoundCloud. That's hilarious.
Oh man.
Yeah, see what he did? And he made fun of me for a pun today. The nerve of that fella. Thank you, Can't Stop Lying.
A what pun?
What'd you say?
What kind of pun?
It was a random. I forget what. I think it was a batches. We don't need no stinking batches. Joke or whatever. And he was like, "All right, you sit down." And I was like, "Oh, really, Mr. Career Puns?"
Yeah.
Your lucky puns rhyme as often as they do you. Yes, Carl, you're absolutely right. That quote alone is just Oy. Yeah, there it is. That's right. Fiscal year ended October 1st, and money would be then unavailable unless reauthorized by Congress. Use it or lose it as it goes to government monies. That's right. And it would be very obvious that they had withheld it against the wishes of Congress. This is true. I know a bunch of people who are big fans of Ghost, Swedish band. Chrysicles says never call my burner phone. God, why didn't Sondland just put it on Bluetooth speaker? I mean, I think he was at least kind of thinking that I probably shouldn't put the president on speakerphone. You know what I mean? Like that's that part of it. But other than that, couldn't tell you. Stephen Miller's getting married. Is there anything more Trump White House than an anti-Semitic Jewish guy who quotes like Nazi propaganda websites? You know what I mean? Like the mental misfires.
Back in 60 gents.
Necessary. Thank you. Thanks, Angie. Tell him I said happy birthday. Miller's getting married. I thought Eva Braun committed suicide years ago. No, she's alive and well, and it's her daughter. They live in Argentina. In Fiona Hill's deposition, she said Sondland used his cell all the time and was told not to. Yeah. These guys, I mean, notice they don't really bag on Hillary anymore for, not being careful around about national security. But how about his advice to Yovanovitch to tweet praise to Trump? Oh, yeah.
I'm Big K from Back on the Beat, and here is the Mega Worldwide Radio program with Al Sparks.
Welcome back, everybody. So the quote that stood out to everybody, I think, and was played around a bunch, was when Zelensky was basically blowing smoke at Trump, which is, by the way, an occupational hazard with Donald Trump. You don't get a job unless you're willing to use his keister as a pipe, or a bong or something. Like, there's so much smoke you have to blow up this guy. He's like Trump's like a hot air balloon. Unless you're willing to just, yeah, boss, you're the greatest, boss, you're the greatest. You're not going to keep your job for very long, right? So this is the quote that comes out. I heard Ambassador Sondland greet the president. This was on the phone call that they were having, in an open air cafe, you know, and there's no way they're not surrounded by spies. There's no way they're not being trailed everywhere. Unless they just already, like, we don't even need to. I talked to Sondland this afternoon. He knows the bug is there. He'll make sure he leans in and puts the flower right in the face of everyone. We don't have to follow them around anymore. They'll write the notes down and give them to us. So, I heard Ambassador Sondland greet the president and explain that he was calling from Kiev, or Kyiv in this case. I heard President Trump then clarify that Ambassador Sondland was in Ukraine. Ambassador Sondland replied, yes, he was in Ukraine. Because he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure where Kyiv was. And went to state that President Zelensky, quote, loves your ass. I then heard President Trump ask, so he's going to do the investigation? Ambassador Sondland replied, excuse me, that he's going to do it, adding that the President Zelensky would, quote, do anything you asked him to. Now, this is, during the time when the money is withheld. Of course he is. Sondland is going to him going, hey, buddy, the money, I'll get right on that. I'm going to need you to do us a favor, though. But don't let me tell Trump. Don't let Trump have to say that to you. I'll say that to you. You're going to do us a favor. You're going to do us a favor. I'll ask a favor of you. I'm going to do us a favor. And you won't kvetch about it. Yeah, and he goes, even though I did not take notes of these statements, I have a very clear recollection of the statements that were made. I believe that my colleagues who were sitting at the table also knew that Ambassador Sondland was speaking with the president. So, just in case you guys think, well, you didn't make any notes, Jim Jordan, loses his shirt and tie and is just, in a sleeveless undershirt wearing a wife beater to the next committee meeting. Just in case you think, I'm making this up. There were two other people there, and Sondland's dumb enough to talk about this stuff right in front of them too. I wasn't alone, and this is clearly the, like those guys will also verify everything that I said. So, this in and of itself. So, Johnson, they had this meeting about, like Trump in the very beginning, about how to, talking about this May 23rd meeting or whatever. This was right about the time the DOD has just said, hey man, we're good with giving Zelensky the money. He's solid. We're not worried about them. He's one of the reasons why we know he's not going to be as corrupt as the last guy is because we know exactly who he is, and the fact that he's not connected is part of the way we know that he's not going to, like, they would have to build the connection with him or threaten him. We know that they're not. We're good. Money can go out the door. But Trump is horrified at this idea. Trump can't stand the idea that this money is going to go, and so Ron Johnson is having cautions President Zelensky that President Trump has, quote, a negative view of Ukraine, and that President Zelensky would have a difficult time overcoming it. And Senator Johnson further explained that he was, quote, shocked by President Trump's negative reaction during an Oval Office meeting on May 23rd, when he and the three amigos proposed that President Trump meet with Zelensky and show support for Ukraine. Trump was hostile to the idea. Curious that. Now, who else in this world is hostile to Ukraine? Just in general. Like, who really would rather Ukraine just fall apart and devolve into chaos
and become Russia?
Oh yeah, that you're getting warm. This is the will of Putin. There is no other way to describe this. There is no other reason for Donald John Trump as a man to be hostile to Ukraine. At this point, in May, and in the beginning of the year when he was clearly against it the whole run. This is the only reason is because Putin has told him to do everything he can to squash help for Ukraine. That's the only reasoning that makes any sense whatsoever. It's grotesque. So that in and of itself is amazing. So this other part is sort of the biggest piece of it. On September 11th, the hold on security assistance was lifted, though it remained unclear why it was imposed in the first place. Although we knew the hold was lifted, we were still concerned that President Zelensky may have committed to the interview at the annual Yes conference in Kyiv. Yes in all caps with an exclamation point at some big hooray Europe something conference in Kyiv on September 12th through the 14th, where CNN's Fareed Zakaria was one of the moderators. On September 13th, an embassy colleague received a phone call from a colleague at the U.S. Embassy to the European Union under Ambassador Sondland and texted me regarding the call. Sondland said the Zelensky interview is supposed to be today or Monday, September 16th, and they plan to announce that a certain investigation that was on hold will progress. The text also explained that our European Union embassy colleague did not know if this was decided or if Ambassador Sondland was advocating for it. So he couldn't tell at this point whether they had already decided on this, and he had already said he would do it, or if he was like, guys, we still need to make sure that they do this, that they go through with it. Because at this point, the trap had already been sprung. At this point, they were already screwed, essentially. This was, excuse me. The Politico story had come out. Taylor had already bailed. He had already told Sondland, look, dude, this is illegal. I quit if you do this, because this is what Russia wants, and this is we are kneecapping an ally. Russia will love this, and I quit. And Sondland was still kind of like, the boss is still bugging me about this whole thing, but it never worked out. Because of journalism. 100%. This story started to leak. Now, I don't doubt that the Ukrainians in general, either people under Zelensky or Zelensky himself and his buddies started looking at this and looking at the polling around, Biden and all those guys, and started having second thoughts about going along with this, because they might be on the wrong side in their mind of the next administration. Because Biden's beating Trump by 9 to 15 points in swing states, right? During the summer when this is going down. It's still true. Biden still beats him in all these major states. So if you're Zelensky and you're like, this guy's telling me to go after that guy, but it looks like that guy's going to be in charge next year, and I got a 5-year term. So do I sacrifice, everything for 1 year from this guy? When, by the way, all the senators I talk to and other people are going, no, you should be getting the aid. It should be coming. It has to come. Do I do what this president tells me to and piss off the next bunch? I mean, this guy's caught, between a rock and a hard place. But it also explains why he never made the speech, and why they were soft pedaling it as well, because they were probably hearing from their allies in Congress and whatnot, who, outside of OMB, knowing full well that money had to go, or it had to go by the October 1st deadline, or the Senate and the House would have to vote for it, and in which case it would become a news item. It would become news. And Trump was trying to avoid that. He was trying to get all this done by then. So that's why, oh gosh, beginning of September, we've only got till October 1st to get this done. So August, they start sweating it. This whole thing is they're robbing a bank with empty guns and hoping that the guard doesn't reach for his sidearm. That's what this is. And everything about it is sketchy. But there's a very strong chance that Zelensky was looking at the American news cycle and the people around him and his buddy, who was a security guy who was knowing all this stuff, that Trump hates Ukraine. Trump is in Putin's pocket. Well, who's running for president that's about to beat Trump according to the polls at this point, while all this stuff is shaken down? The guy who is responsible for you being president right now, because he, on behalf of the United States and the Obama administration, was fighting corruption in your country. And this new guy who's in Putin's pocket is trying to throw you under the bus and get the next guy, get you guys at odds with each other. He's trying to drive a wedge between Biden and Zelensky, effectively, if Biden wins next year, from their point of view. So if you're Zelensky, this is a remarkable situation to find yourself in, where he's literally biding time. It is very possible that we will find out in short order that Zelensky was either being told by Ron Johnson or someone else that money was going to get released no matter what, by hook or by crook, by October 1st, and that they would put some sort of provision in to make sure that next year's wasn't held back. And all you had to do was just kind of blow smoke in Trump's direction for a little while until, to let the heat cool off. It's crazy. We'll be back. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Jonah.
You're good, Hal.
Cool. Excuse me. Excuse me. Well. Yeah, and Sondland's going to have to revise his testimony again. Like, this dude, Sondland's interesting because he's going to be testifying on Wednesday. I'm curious if he's going to request a closed door before then, when he can go in and revise what he's saying behind closed doors, so that when he comes out, he doesn't get called on the carpet for it. Except, like, you had to revise your statement. Now, do you want to tell us what actually happened? No darker than that, right? Thanks, Karen. I appreciate that. I will. I don't feel particularly bad. I just the cough is just annoying and shocking, and just makes me do that every so often. But I got a little post-nasal drip. That's why I have a box of Kleenex right here. Poof. I'm kidding. It's the best magic trick I think I can do on short notice. Beg your pardon. Then he tells him on yes, Jungle D, and this one, Jungle D.
Back in 60.
Yeah. Then Trump literally, while Zelensky's sitting next to him, he's telling him, "You guys need to make a deal with Russia," and then they make this deal with Russia. Just basically ceding elections in a part of the country, basically handing it over. Let's look at it's clear, Jim. I'm all right. I don't have a bacterial infection. It's just irritation. I'm fine. Thank you, though. Yes, thank you, Can't Stop Line, for reminding everybody. HSRPM before Mucinex video. Yeah. It's the cabin air. It's being indoors the whole time.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Now time for the happy ending. Yay!
Go.
So in this, this week coming up, the big thing to watch for, I think, is Sondland. The Sondland testimony is going to be the big turn of events, because Sondland's not just. I mean, let's be abundantly clear. There are everybody who's spoken right now has firsthand knowledge. What they have firsthand knowledge of is the effects of the modification of U.S. policy. What they are experiencing as the charge d'affaires of Ukraine, and as the former ambassador of Ukraine, and as the liaisons with Zelensky and all this stuff. What they witnessed is the negative effects. Sondland went to the front lines, and while he was there, one soldier died and 4 were injured on the day he was there. These people are witnesses to firsthand and have firsthand knowledge and experience of things that are going down. What they are showing is the impact of the change in U.S. policy. The change in U.S. policy, which has not been denied by anyone with firsthand knowledge yet, is because they've admitted it or they're not talking. In the case of Sondland and Mulvaney, they both admitted it. The other ones will not talk. That this was a change in policy at the direction of the president as an individual, not as a representative of the United States concerned about corruption. Because, honestly, I mean, we give money and aid to the Afghanistan government, the Iraqi government, the Saudis. The Saudis murdered an American national, a reporter for the Washington Post, chopped him up and disposed of him. And Trump said, we have to go ahead with our sale of arms. Why would we lose this big sale of weapons and lose
just over one little reporter,
over one dude getting cut up, over one little attack on the freedom of the press, which is one of the things that makes this country special and extraordinary.
Oh, it'll be fine.
Even among Western nations. Because, like it or not, our free speech standard in the United States is the highest in the world. And if some people maybe would prefer a UK or a Canadian system. I don't.
Right. No, neither.
I like free speech, warts and all. Sorry, but the fact is that's I mean, if you talk about American exceptionalism, you talk about what makes us worthwhile, what part of our type of governance. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate that. What makes us a shining light on the hill about anything? Beg your pardon. It's definitely the the fact that our free speech rights are higher than all. But if you want to chop up a guy who writes stuff that you don't like by luring him into a NATO country's embassy and spiriting and carving him up and taking him away, we'll still sell you missiles and aid you in your fight in Yemen. And oh, by the way, we'll pull troops out of Syria that are protecting the Kurds who helped us fight ISIS, and they're not going home. By the way, those troops that were pulled out of Syria, they're not going home. Some of them are going to Iraq. The rest of them are going to Saudi Arabia. Why are they going to Saudi Arabia? Because Yemeni drones have been bombing oil fields and oil processing facilities there, which hurts Saudi Arabia's bottom line. And so we need our soldiers to patrol the areas around those oil fields and oil facilities, because they act as human shields. Because the Yemenis might think twice about killing American soldiers. So our guys are just, because there's no soldiers on the ground there. There's no need for specific troops. We could give them arms to, we could give them devices to take out the drones, I suppose. But that's not what our troops are doing there. Our troops are just effectively just walking around the grounds waiting to get killed, so it gives the United States and Saudi Arabia an excuse to launch a dual mission into Yemen and divide it amongst ourselves. We are offering those soldiers up to be killed. That's what the Trump policy is right now. That is the Trump doctrine. So those Syrian forces, the American forces that were working at that military base that the Russians now own, by the way, they're in Syria or Iraq for the most part. Some might have been rotated out or whatever, but others went in. The number of troops in the Middle East has gone up. So, the process of watching what this president,
Thanks for Saturday.
thinks is what passes for policy, always seems to end up with someone else paying the bill. That's Trump's entire system. Basically, these soldiers are human equivalents of Deutsche Bank loans to him. I'll get favors from the Saudis. I'll put something down in this, in this area, and I'll rent these soldiers to do it. I'll use the U.S. military to benefit myself financially in the long run. And I don't know how some of us forgot that Rick Perry was an idiot and was completely on, for sale as a human being. But for God's sake, anybody who's around Trump for very long either gets sucked into this gangster orbit of it's a smash and grab, or they become, quote, a never-Trumper. It's amazing how many people become never-Trumpers once they see the evidence. Once they watch this guy commit a crime, all of a sudden they're never-Trumpers.
Why do they have to watch it? Why can't they just listen to the evidence?
Well, I think some of them are doing the whole, if there isn't an adult here, things will go really south. You know what I mean? They'll do this. A lot of them, I think, look at it from the point of view I'm a career professional, or I've served in this post before, and if somebody sane, thank you, if somebody sane isn't here, then we're gonna get, it's gonna be even worse. But then after a while, you're like, I can't just sit there and watch this guy destroy stuff. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for our new patrons, everybody who did the super chat today. You guys are fantastic. Stick around for the post show. I'll be hanging out with you on the boat and showing you around the cabin. Maybe we'll 10 seconds. Move the whole setup over so you can see the water. I don't know. That might be a big run, but I'll try it. But either way, thank you guys. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, CPT. Thank you, Devin, so much. I'm glad we got linked up. I'm amazed that we only had a couple of moments of audio issues. That's incredible, considering I'm literally on the high seas. But stick around for the post show, and I'll tell you guys all about San Juan. Otherwise, you guys in Chicago, stick around for Dick K, and he'll let you know the ins and outs of local Chicago politics, the kind of stuff you need to know when you're voting in the elections that count, the ones that that deal with your block. We'll be back next week. Take care. See you later.
Thanks, Hal. See you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Hi, Devin.
Sorry about the weird.
Hey, no.
Bye, Johnny. Bye, Johnny.
No worries. You guys take care.
Bye.
Thanks, John.
Have a good one, guys.
I'll see you later.
Feel better, Hal.
Thanks. I'll try. It's just a tickle, and it's so aggravating. That's the problem.
Worst.
So
Lingering cough is my least favorite thing.
And I've got to sing on Tuesday. I've got a rehearsal on Wednesday. I got a band show. I got a Nerd Halen show on Saturday. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. So, anyways,
well, you hang in there, buddy.
I will. Love you bunches. I'll see you later. We're gonna set up a show in Chicago soon. It might be a nice little winter get together, like a HSRPM Cocoa Saturday or something, because it's.
I'll be here.
That's gonna happen. So love you bunches. See you later. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so I hung up on that. So that should uh, help a little bit, I think. Beg your pardon on the sniffling. I apologize. Ricola, yeah. I used up all my lozenges. I literally ran out last night before my show because I've got like 3 shows a night on this. This is my last cruise. Yeah, and I'm not having it. Let's see if I can. Hold on. Hold the mic for a second, kids. I'll be right back. I'm going to see if I can. This won't be too annoying. Give me 1 second. I don't know if this will be too bright or not. Let's see if I can put this guy over here. We'll try a different. I don't know if it'll be too bright behind me for you to be able to see out. But we'll give it a shot. Why not? You know what I mean? It's worth it. We'll give it. It's fun. It's going to be a good time. We'll try it. You know, it's an adventure. I can't tell. Yeah, it looks like there's a white vision out the window. Hold on. I'm going to make you guys seasick. And then unplug the camera by accident. And it'll all fall down. And we're all going to drown. It's my fault. And I'm sorry. And I didn't mean to. And I apologize. God dang it. But I don't know if you can see. There you go. Yep, there you go. That's it. There's the water. Look how close it is. It looks like the ship is sinking. That's hilarious. But yeah, so that's my bed. There you go. That's the bed. My little iPad and my phone, because that's it. You know, when you're sleeping by yourself, that's summer effectively. There she is. That's the summer, and I can sleep next to it. And they got this little piece of watery art, and then this little thing right here. Then I've got a TV where I can watch the news. And then the closet, and then there you go, and then the bathroom's in there, and it's a tiny little thing, and yeah, so that's the $3 tour. Go ahead and I will use my neti pot as soon as I get home, dagnabbit. But okay, this won't work. I'll move the table over here. I'll just go back to where I was because this will be too aggravating. Pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. It's a post show. What do you want to do? All right. Hi. Alright. Now at least I just get to hang out with you guys. Holy smokes. Yes, those enclosed environments in the air and the sea seem like a petri dish for situation. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Summer's last way hit. Yeah, I don't get seasick. That's fine. $3 tour. A $3 tour. Yeah. Yeah, the water is just like right there. And I mean, like the horizon just goes out. And then I have to say, the one good thing about being on a cruise ship, I suppose, is it's incredibly humbling, I think, on a personal level when you're, you just have to be aware that there's so many, like, if you look at the ocean in terms of just inches, not miles, not, you know, fathoms, not any of that. Like, it is just nuts. You know what I mean? Like, it is one of those things that if you let it, it will consume your soul. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy number. Like, just the volume, size, and like, yeah. I'm gonna go shut the window because it's very bright and it's not helpful. And yeah, so hold on, I'll be right back. Talking about you, hold on. They have good vegetarian food. The food is terrible. It's like food's not particularly great. I mean, there's crew food and it's fine, but it's like a you can scoop around and find out what's in Davy Jones' locker. Not on your life. I think. The food's okay. It's like casino food, you know. Big Lake Michigan, yeah. Next port of call, we're headed back to Fort Lauderdale. We're done. So we were supposed to stop at this place called Cocoque. It's this place. Cocoque. Perfect day in Cocoque, which never happened because we couldn't dock. I mean, it's like a map of Disneyland. It's this island. It's literally their own little thing, but it's apparently got a giant, like, criminally high water slide. Where is it? There you go. This thing. There is it. Thrill Water Park. It's a 3-minute walk, except when it isn't. And then, I don't know what that, like the giant levitating beach ball from space. And all this stuff in gray isn't open till next year. Probably all wiped out. The Oasis Lagoon. And then, and then this is the 70s Key Club, and this is, I don't know. Anyways, okay. That's where we were supposed to stop, and we didn't. Have the gales of November come early? I think so. Is it humbling because of the size of the ranch-style buffet? Yes, it's overwhelming. Is Zero One a heavy metal band? Because some of my friends don't think so. Yes. I would say we're hard rock, but, that depends on what your definition of metal is. I don't get cruises either, Karen. I mean, I did it because of, like I said, work and as a favor, but on a personal level, yeah. Do you feel much motion while cruising? How's the ship stability? It's a little silly. You're like the joke I make in my act is that you walk through the hallways and you feel like Dean Martin after a bender. You're just staggering all over the place. And the odd part is, if you ever saw Inception, where they're having the fight in the hallway and they're running up the hallways and that kind of stuff. It's like a mild version of that all the time. Nerd Halen getting cruise offers as we speak. I don't doubt it. Those I would do, because that's ridiculous. And we would only have one show a night. Do you feel much motion while cruising? How's this? Oh, sorry. Cruises are a great way to arrange accidents. Well, yeah. Just got off a transatlantic cruise for 2 days. We had 40-foot seas. Woohoo, not seasick for a minute. Whoa. Holy smokes. Thanks for the sticker, Evil Limpy. For the record, I consider Zero One a metal band. I usually play she waits. I see. Well, that's the ballad. I mean, how I'm old and tired and I love cruises. Old retired people love it. It's true. It's true. There's tons of those, folks. How do I put this? I don't know how your average American would clean themselves on this, because the shower is built for a normal size person. Me being normal size. I'm just saying. I'm 5'9". I weigh 165 pounds. There are some folks, I don't know if they just bathe in the hot tub. I don't know what's happening. I don't know how it's possible. Seriously. Star Trek instability scene, right? My parents loved cruises. My dad would say get on board and it was instant vacation, no flights, no driving. Yeah, that's part of it too. I mean, they're definitely, like, it's a floating mall. Worst seas I've encountered on a cruise were 3 meters, a little over 9 feet. Yeah, we've had a couple of, like, tosses, but nothing. This ship is so big, like, nothing competes with this thing. It's just, literally, it's why I like flying when I'm flying airplanes, why I like flying, like heavier planes, because, I'm going to move this over here. Because they just have more like depth. Like you don't get tossed about. Super light planes just bounce, right? Same thing with boats as well. You're saying they're not fast showers? No, they are not, Jim. What about 240 pounders? No. I'm just saying, yeah, I think they have to, Kelly. Because the pools, nope. Yeah, honestly. They generally have showers by the pools and in the exercise rooms. Yeah, they definitely, yeah. I wish you were back on TV, buddy. I will be eventually. I'm in no rush. I only at this rate I only do TV shows where I end up having a contract that's like 5 to 7 years long. So I'm not, after just getting out of one last year, I'm not in a huge hurry. Oh wow, I have 2 volumes of Masonic Encyclopedia 1970. That's amazing, William. Thank you. I don't know where you are or how you'll get them to me or whatever, but I look forward to seeing them in whatever form that's possible. It's great. The cruise ship shower stall is the equivalent of airline seats and nightmares. It's true. It is. Can't tell about, and it's a height thing too. It's not just. I mean, it's pretty, and it's a removable handle, right? The handle comes off, and you can do yourself whatever. But holy smokes! Yes, that's right. Nerd Halen 1 week from tonight, Saturday. It's true. How I've cruised 8 times, never had trouble in a shower, and you've seen how large I am. That's true, Al, but I think I view it as like, it might just be the Royal Caribbean ones. I don't know which ones you're normally in, but these are pretty small. Yeah. Just be glad the ship is not the Poseidon, right? I remember when I was a kid, in the 70s, seeing the Poseidon Adventure, and I wanted to see it, the movie, because Mad Magazine did a spoof of it called The Upside Down Adventure. Thanks, Thorsman. Appreciate that, brother. And thank you for letting me know about the game listing on Twitch. I appreciate that. I couldn't see that, so. And there it is. Yeah. Move that over here. Beg your pardon. I'm sorry about the cough, guys. I know that's annoying. But it's deep. Damn it. I had trouble helping my dad in the bathroom shower. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a lot of the case. Imagine being 6'4" in that shower. That's what I'm talking about, Caleb. Like, geez, dude. Oh, Allure of the Seas is the 4th largest cruise ship, according to Wikipedia. Wow. Amtrak showers are a toilet and shower in the same place. Well, that's kind of freeing, I think. The Mad Magazine was the Poop Side Down Adventure. I think that was the 80s version of it. The 70s one was the Upside Down Adventure. When they remade it, they made it the Poop Side Down Adventure. Because of the ship that where everybody got dysentery, and they were kind of spoofing that stuff. Yeah, they have a sauna here. So after I'm done with the show, that's where I'm going, and I'm gonna sauna and get some steam into my lungs. That helped yesterday or day before yesterday. I wasn't able to do yesterday, and then we've just got so many shows. I'll send a pic. Close. Have fun, Lisa. Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for the super chats today. I apologize if I missed anybody. Some of it was showing and some of it wasn't. The stickers show up. Some of the other things I would see it on the screen, but if I was reading and it happened and I missed it, I apologize. I'm going to go and look right now so I can make sure you guys get thanked. And then thank you to all of our patrons that have joined lately. You guys are awesome. I want to say we're at 119 now, something along those lines. So, which is, I mean, huge considering I couldn't believe, and the support has been fantastic, and it's changing everything about how we're able to do the show. And it's, yeah, you guys are just lovely. I gotta say. Oh, we have 10,078 subscribers. I'm going to be doing a sort of a special. I've started pulling video from the last couple of months when I've been using the Ecamm software because it makes an automatic recording. and I'm going to kind of put together a little highlight reel of getting to 10K thanks to you guys that I'll be putting up in a couple of weeks. If I can find the time to edit it when I don't have it's good. It's good stuff. It's stuff I can do when I'm not talking. I need to have like 2 vocal rest days this week and then an entire vocal rest week after Thanksgiving. And I just added stand-up in Florida literally day before yesterday. It's not, it probably won't be up on there, but it's the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. I don't know why I'm being drawn now to Florida all of a sudden, but apparently people get wind of you, and then all of a sudden, yeah. So let's see. Where the heck is this thing? I don't want to stay here. I'm already live, you bastard. I don't need that. I want the old live events thing. Yeah, I want live stream now. I don't know why. It's got a problem. You're not exactly the same height, Hal. I may have to retweet your picture from you. Yeah, that's right. So wait, here it is. There it is. Okay, now I can see it. Finally, thank you. Lisa Mia Moore, thank you so much for the super chat. And Hal Vickery, bless you. And Billy, thank you so much. Thanks very much. Benny Loco, of course, hitting it a couple of times. You're so sweet. Thomas Cruz, oh, brother Hal, do you think the CIA is behind Bolivia's right-wing coup? That's no. I think Bolivia is, like a lot of South American countries, in the crosshairs between the U.S. and Russia as well. Russia is making a ton of moves. Russia is doing a lot of jacking up both sides, making them fight each other, so that whoever gets power is on their heels. That's my true belief about that. And thank you for reminding Betty Loco, reminding everybody to smash the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Amos, it may not be the end of the beginning, but it may be the beginning of the end for Trump. This is true. Ambassador Sherman says that Holmes is specifically trained to total recall of verbal exchanges because he's not able to always do spontaneous note-taking. Yeah, that's why those guys are hired. It's amazing. And so thank you, Kelly O'Rourke, as well, for the 999, contributing while standing on their head to the 666 Fifth Avenue fund. There you go. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. It's okay if you want to use a computer-generated voice if you want. That's a great idea, Brad. I heard a little on our radio here. They let him know of that practice last minute just so they could see. They offered something, never know. See what happens. Oh, okay, I'm rolling back on that. So glad you're on Sexy Liberals. Saving our sanity. Thank you. Thanks, Nancy. Appreciate it. And I don't know. Let's see, is this advanced settings? Come on, you. Let's see. Yeah, I'm limited with that, but I want to, like, advanced settings, where is it? There's supposed to be, can you guys see a store below me now? Can you guys see, is the Teespring store working? I can't tell from my end because it doesn't show me on where I am. It's that little... Oh, I see. It's funny. I don't know if it works or not. Plus, Russia wants to sell everybody weapons. That's exactly it. I mean, Russia is doing all the stuff overtly that America has been covertly accused of for decades. Every rumor you've ever heard about the CIA messing around in, Middle Eastern, South American, European countries, all that kind of stuff. all the rumors you've heard about that kind of stuff are all actively being done by Russia right now. Because they just don't care. Yes, if you turn off the chat. Oh, okay. Let's see. Yes, Teespring works. Nice! That's because of you guys. That's when we hit 10K. That's one of the things that allowed to do. So I had to go set that up. I will say, though, that if you're watching on Twitch, I like a lot of the merch there, as much or better in some cases. So, you and Jackie Shagner are wonky donk. So glad two of my faves are teaming up. Well, thank you, Nancy. That's super fun. Our next one, I think, is going to be about pleading the fifth. But we'll also talk about the Records Act. I'm blitzing on the full name of it. Yeah. One of our big supporters and one of the people we always support is the Wild Horse Ranch Rescue, wildhorserescuecenter.org. If you use that link that Can't Stop Lying puts in the chat room or whatever, when you use Amazon, they give a donation to Wild Horse Ranch Rescue. And these days with wildfires and horses being driven off of land where they were already boxed in, they need more places to go. So any support you can give to them and stuff is fantastic. It's a great, some people send me Christmas gifts. If you want to support them and, send me a card that you donated in my name or something like that. I love that idea. That's wonderful. So there you go. Hey, Nancy, you're welcome. Where can I listen? Well, you can listen to the podcast. Go to sexyliberal.com and listen to the Hal Sparks Radio podcast mega worldwide. Or you can go to sexyliberal.com and get the links there. It's basically wherever their podcasts are available. And then every Saturday we're live on the air on WCPT Radio out of Chicago, which is on the TuneIn app as well if you're not in the Chicagoland area. And then, of course, I put the show on here, so we do it live. So all those options. That's why we're mega worldwide, because we go out. Is that a squid eye in the window behind you? Jesus. Don't do that to me. I'm sure. Wait. I missed something. Hold on. Billy Hutchins. Sparks and Company. Good news from Broadway. My daughter's doing a 16-day stretch as the lead in Oklahoma. Going up to see her performance next weekend. That's awesome. That's so amazing. Congratulations. Was she the understudy and she got her shot? Did she just get cast? Is she rotating through? Is it before she, because I want to know if there's a chance of me, I'm not going to be up in New York in the next couple of weeks. So if I could possibly get up there, I would love to see her. So that's wonderful. Congratulations, everybody. Big applause to Billy, his daughter. Right on. Oh, thank you. It's Wild Horse Ranch Rescue. And they're in Phoenix, Arizona. Let's see. How can I put this best up there? I'll roll back through the... here you go. I'll put Can't Stop Lines back up on screen so you can see it. wildhorserescuecenter.org. They rescue wild horses in the American Southwest that are in danger of being, culled or killed or rounded up and sold as meat and animal food, and they also save military and police horses that have aged out of usefulness and are going to be put down. They pasture them, which is really sweet as well. So there you go. So hopefully that helps, Nancy, and I appreciate you thinking about that. That's a great thing. How would you be open to doing a Queer as Folk continuation on Netflix? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they would have us. That's the thing. Here, I'll put that up. I don't, Netflix is always what everybody talks about as far as us recreating or rebooting the show. because everybody thinks Netflix is just magic and they're allowed to do it. Showtime owns the rights to their version of it. Bravo's doing a reboot of the British version with those character names and all that, with Russell T Davies doing the script for that. But yeah, I mean, the cast is open to it. I'm kind of a stickler. I would like to have our execs who wrote it back. I don't know where the rest of the cast is on that particularly. I mean, I know Sharon's big on that as well. Having Ron and Dan back as kind of the guiding voices of the show, because it would keep it consistent, I think. And Del Shores and some of the other writers that were on there that are still around and available. Would be great. I'm curious if we would go back to Toronto to shoot it, to make it look the same. Or they'd actually take us to Pittsburgh this time. I'm not quite sure how they'd make it happen, but there you go. Thanks for putting that back up, Can't Stop Lying. You're popping that in there. Halla Squid, Billy's. Are we in the Watchmen universe now? President Redford over Trump? I'll take it. Yeah. Thing is, YouTube doesn't exist in the Watchmen universe, so right? I'm not a Watchmen fan. I saw some of the thematic aspects of the movie, and I got what they were getting at. And I feel like the comic book and the show are sort of a form of weaponized nihilism most of the time. So, yeah, there you go. That's my own personal feelings. If you like it, you like it. Good for you. But that's been my experience in watching it. It's all so very 90s to me. So I'll stay on for another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to rest my voice. I've got 2 shows tonight, and then we're done. But I'm going to go to the steam rooms and steam myself. The Watchmen movie was horrible. Yeah, well. I mean, I liked the elements of it. I felt like about Watchmen like I felt about Pulp Fiction. There were like a couple of stories worth watching. Did you guys? How the HBO show is really good. I've watched part of it. I have my issues with it. Alan Moore did also write V for Vendetta, which is a similar bit in tone. Yeah. Rorschach is just like Batman squared. He's a poor Batman, effectively, with this kind of a superpower. When I was RC, one of those people I knew was a guy from Finland who went by Watchmen. IRC, man. That's it. Hi, Kathy. How are you? The good thing about this thing is that it's got a pretty decent gym. So at least I've been able to work out while I've been here. And I have to say, like, we couldn't go to shore today. And I was like, and I go out on deck. I went to get a coffee for the show, just to like wake up and get ready and all that. And it was packed. Like the deck is packed. Everybody's out of the room because they were going to go ashore. And like people I've never seen. There's 6,000 people on this boat. They're all out on deck. It's just it's a horde. And so I went to the gym, and it's empty. Just saying, if you ever want to go to a place that isn't crowded, gym's probably going to be your best shot. In a hotel or if you need some time alone on a ship, go to the gym. There's like 3 people in there. It's a huge gym. Food's I brought my own supplies. I brought like protein bars and protein drinks and other stuff just to have, but I got really bad food poisoning the first night before I got on the ship in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. at the hotel, and I was like, I almost had like 24 hours. I had not eaten anything because I'd been traveling and all this other stuff. And I finally got some food. Excuse me. And I think that's what like kind of put me under it and made me catch something. But I literally, like, everything came back out. Like, it was not, nothing went, nothing made it all the way through. Nothing. It just all just ejected. It was not good. How, where are you getting your food? They have like 5 complimentary restaurants, and then they have a crew bar and the kitchen kind of thing. The crew kitchen stuff, yeah, it's like the less impressive parts of the other stuff because they're just feeding you just to get you along. It's not horrible, but how your face looks good. How did you spritz? I did not spritz. I'm actually kind of tired. Like, you can tell I got little bags under my eyes right here. But I'm holding it together. Oh, before you got on the ship, usually it's the other way around. I know, Brad. That's the weird part. Protein bars are just candy with extra stuff. Well, yeah, but the amount of extra stuff is kind of what the factor is, or whatever. So, I do the protein bars. I have 2 grams of sugar and 21 grams of protein, and no carbohydrates in them. So they hold together pretty well. They're not the tastiest things in the world, but they're useful. They're kind of like Luke Skywalker's little bars. How do you get so big eating these things, right? But you can say you're being healthy. Right. Absolutely hilarious. Do you have any idea when you'll be returning to Phoenix? I don't. Cruise info sites say you gain 10 pounds off cruise ship food. Not me. I've lost probably 2 pounds. Probably healthier than candy bars, which are what I like. Yes. Weight wise, I haven't put anything on in this area at all, which is good because I got shows coming up. But like physically, look at that, even got the wings right now. That's funny. I've been all right. Oh, thanks, Christian Alejandro Vasquez. Thank you so much. Pemmican bars, Cliff bars. But yeah, so get the fisherman's drops for your throat. Nasty tasting, but miracle for the throat. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is my throat doesn't hurt at all. Like, I do not have a sore throat at all. It's just like a dry spot right there that just tickles and makes me cough. It's a dry cough. It's aggravating. Early Thanksgiving dinner for us tonight will be OD on protein. There you go. Are you doing Canadian Thanksgiving? Is that what it is? Is that the Cheers bar? Oat Mega bars after I'm in the gym. All right, that's not bad. Yeah. Have you been to the mani pedi salon yet? No, I probably should go though. But I have noticed like my skin's really dry on the boat, oddly enough, and I think it's because of how much time I've been spending indoors. But yeah. Bring a case of Boost next time or Ensure. I can just pill for the old folks next to me for their Boost or Ensure. Where did you eat in Fort Lauderdale so I don't eat there? I had it delivered to the hotel because I got in so late and I had to get up early. And I'd been traveling all day. And so it was it was like an Italian place. They're like, this is the only place that delivers. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And yeah. Whew. Have pirates taken over the ship yet? Is that why you can't dock anywhere? Yeah, that's why. Yeah. I am the captain now. Whoa. Mark, that's nuts. Got food poisoning for a few years back. Spent 2 days in the hospital. Leading up to that, I vomited for a week straight. Lost 20 pounds. Whoa. That's like a tapeworm or something. Holy smokes. You need to get out. It's a ship on the ocean. I know, I have been. It's the salty air, right? The problem is, like, interestingly enough, being a performer on the boat, like, I'm doing grown-up shows. So I'm in the comedy club. We're in the theater tonight, but we're in the comedy club the rest of the time. And, like, I'm not I'm not here as as Mr. Davenport making a appearance for Royal Caribbean on their cruise, because they can't afford that. So they don't get it for free, kind of. So walking around, it's not like I'm avoiding people or whatever. But if I go out on deck anywhere where the kids are out, I'm not getting back to my room. It happened a couple of times, where I was like, I'm going to go get some food and eat at one of the restaurants up top at one of the higher levels. And then, they were stopping me nonstop. People were like, are you, because I'm not listed as that on the ship. It's just, and the pictures are pretty minor, like the advertisements, because you have to get a reservation to do the comedy club. It's part of a package. And yeah. So anyways, thinking about it next time, I'd prefer that, like, just show up and, like, do like a Santa kind of package where it's just like, meet Mr. Davenport and he'll talk and tell stories and whatever. That's fine. I'm totally fine. But doing the other ones, like doing regular shows, 3 of them a night, and then when you go out to eat, I'm basically talking as much going to lunch as I am in all 3 shows. That's the tough part. It's not bad, and I'm not against it. I just know where I'm supposed to, where I can go and where I can't, and so it mainly means being inside the ship. So, but I go out on deck late at night. Nah, celebrity's not a drag. It's just, you just have to be aware of it. It's okay. You just have to, I have no complaints. I understand I have no complaints. I just know that if I need my voice to be, because if my voice was 100% and I didn't have as many shows on the ship, I'd be all over the place. I wouldn't care. But because I have to talk, I have to, I have to limit where I go and how much I go out. And I think that's why I got kind of like dry cough, because I've just been inside this whole thing. Almost died from food poisoning. My dad made custard ice cream with old turkey eggs. Oh my God. What? Holy smokes. It's a huge boat. That's why I can kind of zip sideways. That's right. Thank you, Can't Stop Blind, for reminding everybody. Yeah, because first and foremost, we are a radio show. And first and foremost, the patrons, for all the extra stuff I post for you guys as patrons, all that stuff's just free, gratis stuff I'm giving you. You're really just supporting the radio show, which I greatly appreciate. So, and we need you. So, I thank you. Get a wig and a mustache. Yeah, that won't stand out or anything. Found me some Coca-Cola cinnamon this week. They'll flavor anything these days. Deviled eggs. Whole family was sick for 3 days. You guys got to watch where you buy your eggs. The funny thing is, I drink raw eggs all the time. I do, like, at home, I'll do 6 raw eggs, down the hatch. Never have a problem. It was either the Caesar salad that I had. I was like, this is pretty minor. Or it was the water I drank. The bottled water that the hotel gave me. It is entirely possible that was it, because I was a little whatever, but they gave me 2 free bottles of water, and they're like, here you go, da da da. So I took them up, didn't think either way about it. I was like, I'll stay hydrated, and I drank one of them, and I was like, whoa, and then I was human fountain. Your biggest problem is you have an ocean view room. If you had a balcony, you'd be able to get outside whenever you wanted. That's true. That's extra bucks in the can, and you're going to pay for that. You're absolutely right. Next time I could, if I want to do it again, which I don't, but if I did, I could negotiate for that. And if I did it again, it'd be fewer shows, balcony room, and I'm pretty sure I can get that. I just didn't ask because I was, like I said, this was This was the room my buddy was supposed to get. So. Dad got free eggs from the turkey hatchery. That's so weird. Worst food poisoning I got was Ren Fair. Wow. In a belly dancing troupe and didn't get into the dance before the entire audience ran away retching. Wow. What's up, Celtic woman? Isn't there a supposedly a 30% chance the raw eggs in the U.S. are beset by salmonella? Well, when it's usually on the shells. And so whenever I have raw eggs, I rinse the shells, wash them, soap and water, and I also don't crack them on the glass that I'm eating from. I crack them on the table, on the corner of the counter, and then I open them inside like that. So it's not the outside. If it's on the outside of the shell, it doesn't get in. And it seems to work fine. I say get some big glasses, Hawaiian shirt, a fedora, do Jeff Goldblum. That's not a bad idea. I'll go outside. Quantum of sauce. That's why I eat the peppers. Exactly, Evil MP. Bottled water isn't as safe as tap water. That's the irony. Sorry about the coughing, though, guys. But it's just a tickle. Like, it's one of those, and I can feel it sneaking up on me. So aggravating. But yeah, I used up all my lozenges. You guys are wonderful, by the way. It's good hanging out with you. I'm glad this worked. I'm stunned that this actually, it was functional this time. That we got through honestly, I don't think the resolution's very high, because it's like, we're doing it like 1 megabit, but still, like, it's pretty solid. Yeah. Oh, and of course, that's when my text stops. So, there you go. Sorry. There we go. Yes. Thanks for reminding everybody. Can't stop playing. Vote.org, everybody. Vote.org. Pass it on. All right, I'm going to, I went a little over, but I'm going to sign off now just so that I don't choke to death and I still have some voice left for the show. But thank you guys for joining me today. You're wonderful. Thank you for those of you that super chatted and helped us out today. It's fantastic. The fact that this was able to, like, even be a show is a friggin' miracle. And I will see you guys again next time. Thank you for the super chats and the support and the Patreons. Thank you so much to all of our patrons. Big hug to you guys. And I will see you guys. The stream from the ship is actually better than something you did from dry land. I know, that's the hilarious part. I don't know why. It's super odd. But I'm going to go steam my throat. And hopefully that will help and make me able to talk. So take care of yourselves, guys. And I will see you. Big hugs. Those of you that are going to be at the Flapper Show Sunday, I will see you guys there. And then, of course, I will see you, at upcoming shows. And then I will, I think the Thanksgiving weekend we will be having a show. It'll be from my dad's house, I think. And so there might be a little visit from Camden for that one. For you guys, next weekend, I'll be doing it from LA. And then we've got the Nerd Halen show that night. So it's going to be a crazy week. I got to not talk when I don't need to talk as much as possible. You guys are fantastic. I will see you next time. Bye. Cheers. See you later. Bye.